Hey everybody, I'm Idiot Vig and this is Backgammon Made Complicated. So you're ready to start playing backgammon seriously. Congratulations! It's a heck of a lot of fun and can get really intense, especially as you start learning more about the tremendous nuance this game has to offer. And if you're going to start playing seriously, you're going to need a bot. In today's video, we're going to take a look at what bots can do, briefly review some features from 3 of the most popular bots out there, and talk about how we are going to use bots in the remainder of this series. Before we begin, if you are a Windows user, fantastic. All of the bots that you're about to see in this video, you'll have no problem being able to use. If you are a Mac user, you're going to have more limited options. However, if you are emulating Windows on your Mac, then you won't have any issues. However, if that's something that you haven't done before as a Mac owner, it's something to consider. There is a little bit of a technical hurdle and potentially added expense depending on whether or not you want to pay for some third-party tool to do that sort of thing for you. But the 3 bots we are going to look at today are Extreme Gammon, which we see on screen right now, GNU, and BG Blitz. These are all desktop apps. There is a mobile version of Extreme Gammon. However, this is being recorded in 2024. In late 2023, the developer of XG said there would be no further development on Extreme Gammon, and is looking to sell the software. The desktop version is still available for purchase, but depending on when you're watching this, you may want to check the site, check the different backgammon communities out there on Reddit, on Facebook, just verify that there aren't any issues getting the desktop license. GNU, on the other hand, is free. It is open source. It's not quite as pretty, but just as good in terms of its engine. And BG Blitz is a creation of Frank Berger and runs on both Windows and Mac. And all 3 of these tools are going to be able to let you look through your games or challenge the computer and keep tabs on your analysis. So with Extreme Gammon, out of the box, you're going to see options that you can just create a brand new match or, play a new match, play a money session, start looking at some positions. Before you get too deep in any of that, though, what you're going to want to do, and you can do the same things in GNU and BG Blitz as well, is create a profile that allows you to associate your results, both imported matches from online play, as well as any matches directly against the computer. And it can all be saved to your own profile, which lets you keep track of that over time. So, as an example, so XG will show you, how you've been doing over the last N number of matches. It'll keep tabs on recent results. These all have slightly different looks and feels across the different tools. This is a little bit more extensive, what we're seeing in Extreme Gammon. In terms of keeping and displaying recent results, it's a little bit nicer. But in addition to keeping track on your own performance, it's also a good way to, just sort of keep expectations about, the kinds of dice that you're getting. Now, there's going to be tons and tons and tons of variance in backgammon, and over time, you're going to say to yourself, well, the dice on these sites, they can't possibly be fair. The dice I get against XG, there's no way that it's good. I'm just showing you real quick across all the matches I have imported and played against Extreme Gammon. This is over 130,000 rolls, and it keeps stats. All the other tools will do this as well. It'll show you, hey, look, over a very long period of time, you're going to see things are right in line with expectation. And on screen, we have it set to show, okay, well, what sort of range might we expect 99% of the time for double ones? And we change this to occurrences, you can see out of 130,000 and change rolls, we got double ones a little over 3,600 times. And that's pretty much right in line with average, right what we'd expect. And you go down the line for all of these, except for the extremely unlikely events like 5 or 6 or 7 doubles in a row. Everything is matching expectation. It's a little bit high on the number of times I've seen 4 doubles in a row, but I suspect with only 95 occurrences across 130,000 rolls, that's probably not happening very often anyway. Point is, the dice are fair. The bots are not fixed. You're gonna see some swings. Just know that it happens. You don't have to like it. You don't have to be pals with it. It's just going to happen. Variance is going to happen over the board, and you're going to have to learn to push that aside and keep focusing on the best play at hand, because the more rolls you get, the more we're going to see everything is right in line with expectations. One nice feature of keeping track of profile plays, that lets you see the effect of luck in your matches. And this is kind of important as you're playing, because really, we know that there's tremendous amounts of short-term luck in backgammon, and we want to be able to overcome that. We want to be able to do better than that. This isn't anything that you can do. Yeah, this graph isn't something actionable, but instead it's a way of saying, well, across all my matches, how am I doing? Am I winning when I'm unlucky? Am I losing when I'm lucky? And you can, whatever part of the chart takes up more real estate, that's the side that's winning more. In this case, I'm green. I've got more than 50% of the real estate on screen, so I know that I'm winning some of those matches when I'm unlucky more than I'm losing matches when I am lucky. And that's what winning backgammon is. We're going to talk a lot more about that in a lot more philosophical detail later. Let's get back to the bots. So you've got your profile, and maybe you have a whole bunch of old matches saved, or you're going to just play a whole bunch of new matches and save them to the profile. Fantastic. And now it comes time to play out those matches and look and see how your performance is done. So this is a recent match that I played, one of the WBIF tournaments online, and as we go through all of this, we can see play by play what's happening. We're getting an explanation of what's happening on the board. In this case, we've got different radio buttons showing us, well, do we want to see how the position looked before the roll? Do we want to see arrows to see how the person moved? Or do we want to see the final position? And those are all nice things. Nice parts of the UX. But more importantly, in the bottom corner of the screen, we can see quantitatively the plays and what Extreme Gammon thinks the equity is. So from the last video, we talked about those single wins, those gammon wins, those backgammon wins, and the same for losses, and how those change with one another. Now we get that quantitatively for every single play, or cube decisions if we wanted to. We can also see up top that there are errors that might be flagged. So, if we've got a bunch of different icons that show us different things. If rolls are unlucky, they're called anti-jokers. See a little mad frowny face, emulating other players' unsavory emotions at the table and never yours. This incredibly shiny happy face right here, these are jokers. These are when you get rolls that are substantial amounts of luck in your favor. And then you'll see all of the red stuff. And the red stuff means there's some kind of error or blunder. If we go through this, we can see these highlighted in checker plays. And those kinds of visual cues are going to indicate, well, there was a move, or there was some kind of decision that was made where the action over the table didn't agree with the computer analysis. So let's take a look at one of those. This was a position. This was a 13-point match. The score is currently 0-0. And I doubled this. And if we take a look at the analysis, this is borderline, but still the computer thinks it's a very, very, very small no double. Not yet. However, it's giving up much more equity by passing. The best action is not to double, but since excuse me, the best action is not to double because that is the highest equity, 0.626. But having doubled, the best action then is to take. You'll note here that there's a bunch of different options when we take a look at a particular play. So let's take a look at this same double here. And you'll see that the numbers on screen aren't exactly the same as what we saw before. And that's because there are different levels of analysis within XG. So from the help docs, these are different player profiles. We'll get to those in just a second. But there are different levels of analysis that show just how deeply XG looks at the position. And without getting into too many details right now, just know that the deeper the analysis, the more accurate the answer. So here on screen in XG, the lowest available setting is 2-ply. And if we click that, you can see now all of a sudden it's a borderline double. And we can see that we've got the percentages, the wins and losses, the gammon wins and losses, the backgammon wins and losses with every play. Well, if we start looking at another ply, and a ply is just another word for looking a roll ahead. Well, now all of a sudden it swings back. And similarly, we can go through the process over and over with deeper modes of analysis. And we see that the values change. Well, wait, if the values change every time, how can we be certain about what's right? And the answer is, you can't. Bots are incredibly useful for us. However, all they can do is show us how likely it is that one move is better than another. It itself doesn't, know the perfect answer. It uses very sophisticated methods to play the game out, a series of moves, and use levels of analysis while doing so in order to come up with an estimation of, here's what I think the wins are, and here's what I think the gammons are, and here's what I think the backgammons are. But you would need an infinite amount of trials to know what that value truly is using that kind of methodology. So there's one more setting, and that is a rollout. And that's where you actually have XG play the game out against itself over and over and over and over again, with every move using deep levels of analysis. So I had done this before, and you can see that, again, these numbers are slightly changing as it rolls out more and more games. And despite having done this over 1,000 times on just this one position, while it's certain that the position is a take, it still hasn't come to a reasonable level of confidence whether the position is a double or a no double. And when we mouse over, one nice feature of Extreme Gammon is that you can mouse over plays, you can mouse over cube actions, and you'll get more details about what's in the analysis. And here we can see, it thinks that it's still no double, but we can see the confidence intervals, and that interval of 0.015 is greater than the difference in the equities here. So we can't be super certain. XG thinks maybe a 2/3 likely this is a no double, but it's going to take more trials. So what does all of this mean for us? We've got all of these different settings. When do we use them? What's appropriate? And the answer is we use the setting that gets us the best results to make us feel the most practically confident. Huh? Well, it means that, think about the kinds of things that there might be some kind of uncertainty. We're looking at a play where the double decision is extremely close. That's something that's going to take a deeper level of analysis. It's going to take the bots playing over and over and over and over again to get a very fine-grained idea if one is better than the other. The pass decision is not something that we would need to, the take pass decision is not something we need to roll out a whole bunch of times, because we can see that there's a very, very wide gap between what it thinks is right and what it thinks is incorrect. And that's something that can converge and get us that level of confidence we're looking for very, very, very quickly. So we're not going to use overly deep analysis settings when there's a huge difference between the two plays. We're going to use it when it's close. We're not going to go any deeper if we also feel reasonably confident in the results. Like let's say the difference between two plays is 0.03, but we see that the confidence interval is 0.01. Well, now that's 3 standard deviations away from the top play, and that's something where we can say, yeah, there's not much equity difference between the two, but we can feel very, very confident that the top play comes out ahead because there's not much variance in this completely hypothetical, fabricated example that I'm making up. Okay, so we go deeper when plays are close. We go deeper when there is still uncertainty in the results. And we can also go for deeper levels of analysis when the position is very complex, when it's very volatile, meaning things can change radically based on a single shake of the dice. Because when that happens, we need to think about, well, not what just could happen next roll, but what could happen the roll after that. Fortunes could change radically if one side versus the other ends up having a completely different game. And those are the kinds of positions that the bots might get right at lower levels, but you don't see them getting more confident about the results until you look at them more deeply. Do we get through all that? Barely, kind of, maybe. Don't worry if we didn't catch all of it. Just know that we're going to use computers, and the computers are very good, and they're not perfect. There are ways we can try to get them a little bit closer to perfect, and it just means digging deeper and deeper. If you're uncertain and the bot's uncertain, try the next analysis level. Just to show you some of the other tools real quick, I've got this same match in some of the other tools. So here we are when we're looking at GNU. Same sort of, interface analysis. Here we can go through the different levels here. And sure enough, we see small variations in the action, depending on what level that's there. One really nice feature, and both GNU and BG Blitz have this, is a score map that shows you, well, what would the correct action be at all scores from whatever. In this case, we're looking at a 15-point match. And now we've got very clear indicators of when things might be double take by the Blues, when things might be double passes. We don't have to worry about what all this is right now. We could just say, ooh, pretty. And when the time comes for us to understand more about matches, this is the kind of feature that's going to be a lot more useful. Here we are looking at BG Blitz, same thing. We've got different levels of analysis that we can go through. It's going to give us some kind of output. It's going to, break down how our play does, wins, gammons, backgammons, and all of the tools do this, but I like what Blitz does here best. Describing the best cube action. So when a cube isn't correct, it's saying this might not be technically correct according to evaluation, but it can be correct if a wrong cube gets an incorrect pass some percentage of the time. Anyways, we're going to talk more about what that means later, but BG Blitz does this nicely as well. But again, all of the tools are the same. You've got the ability to import your matches, analyze play. BG Blitz, it takes a little bit more getting used to. The UI is not exactly the same, and it's best used as your own sort of personal trainer. It does come with a free trial. I believe all features are available in the free trial. So it's definitely something to check out. XG, it definitely has a free trial. I don't know if it's for all features, however, and I don't think it gives you as much time to be able to evaluate. And GNU's just free. This is certainly an excellent tool if you are not looking to immediately spend on a bot and can run Windows software on your machine quite easily. For most of the videos in this series, we're just going to be using XG. But yeah, that's it. We are going to play around a lot with the bots because we take their opinion as the truth. And we can understand, okay, well, maybe there's some things which aren't, quite right. And maybe we need to look at it a little bit more deeply. Like maybe these two checker plays, maybe you liked one versus the other. And we can manipulate the bots to understand, is this something that we feel confident about? Because whether or not it's a play that you agree with, when we feel confident about the bot results, just knowing that the bot prefers a certain type of play in a certain type of situation, that's something that you're going to be able to store and use for the future. We're going to talk more about reference positions, which is just nothing more than just a bank of things that you remember and what the outcome was. Was it a checker play that said to do a certain thing in a certain kind of position, double at a particular time, take or pass at a particular time, all of that. And when we start by using the bot's opinion, and then based on how confident the bot is, we use that to further our own analysis. And that's going to be tucked away for the next time. So, you play the bot. You play the bot. You're going to play the bot a lot, and there's going to be lots and lots and lots of blunders. And this is the really important part. You can't take any of that personally, because what you have is an amazing tool in front of you that's going to be able to very quantitatively tell you what wins and what doesn't. If you're able to push your own blunders aside and take a look at all the what the bots give you, and figure out the why, that's how you're going to improve. So get playing, get blundering, and we'll talk more about how to use this tool in depth next time.